It is spooky season. Ah. And I definitely chose this movie late stage in October solely based on the fact that Max is going to drop the sequel before Halloween. And I was like, well, if the sequels, then I should see the first one. So this is The Nun. Welcome. Welcome to The Nun. So it's Demian Bashir and Thaisa Farmiga. And this is a spin-off of the Conjuring universe, or specifically the second film. First film spun off Annabelle, the second film spun off The Nun, the third film sucked too much to spin off anything. So, even a sequel. No more Conjuring films. So, yeah, nobody noticed that, apparently. We just all just accepted that we have a Conjuring universe where we'd rather just make Annabelle and Nun sequels and no more Conjuring films or spin off from the third film. Just ended. Anyway, so we've got it's not even an origin story. It's more like an origin story for Thaisa Farmiga than it is anything else. She plays a novitiate who is asked to come in and join Demian Bashir on his quest to figure out why a nun committed suicide. Basically, that's like the elevator pitch. And then I would turn to the studio head and be like, it's a scary film. And then they'd be like, ooh, can we make it for under this much money? I'd be like, yes. Yes, I can. So, yeah, it does have audio description on Max, which is great because it's basically the whole reason I watched it. I think it's so weird that Max has like the whole Conjuring universe, but Annabelle, the first Annabelle film, doesn't have audio description. It's like, what is going on? Why? Like, I'm not going to watch the sequels without watching the first film, so I might as well not describe the sequels, to be honest. I'm not going to get into that franchise if I can't watch the first fucking movie. So, at least this franchise, which I was even less enthused to watch these spin-offs, actually has audio description. So, kudos to the people behind The Nun. And it was actually pretty good audio description. There's a scene where a character is standing in darkness. This film is very dark and takes place at night all the time in Romania. In Romania, something is happening in Romania. And it's sort of kind of hilarious, too, how the whole thing goes about, because we start off with sort of like our opening kill sequence. If this was a slasher. It is. It's the same thing. She's basically she's Jason. The nun is basically just Jason. Just wandering around, just picking random people off. So we see that, and we see that opening sequence, and then we cut to a bunch of old farts talking about it. And then they summon Demian Bashir and send him off. And they're like, we need you to go here. There is a novitiate who can be of service to you. Let me find, and then he's like, well, it's the Vatican says you're originally from Romania, and you can show me the area. And she's like, I've never been there. I don't know. The Vatican is on crack. And then he's like, well, God works in mysterious ways. I'm like, why did we even write that plot? This isn't... I mean, I know, like, the whole thing about The Conjuring is that, like, it's based on a true story. There's no way that it could be that based on a true story, where they're like, yes, we tracked down, and this is actually what happened. This is the real deal is that she was just chilling, and this priest came up to her as a novitiate and was like, "You're coming with me," and she's like, "But I'm not really from Romania." Like, why is it even like a plot? Like, why is that in there? Why is there like a debate about whether or not it's so unnecessary. She could just be from Romania. She doesn't need to be somebody who's like rejecting her Romanian heritage, or she could just not be Romanian and we don't need to bring it up. And they could just be like, there's a young novitiate who, for a different set of reasons that actually make sense, we're going to send with you. Instead of like, whoops. Whoopsie. Well, the Vatican is never wrong. It also says you're black and 57. So, welcome. I hope I haven't insulted you and your and your African ways. I was just like, whatever the Vatican says. The Vatican says you're a man. They're never wrong. So, he drags black male 57-year-old Romanian Thaisa Farmiga along with him to Romania, where of course this is I love this movie. The guy, they have to meet the guy who found the nun, right? They have to meet the guy who found the nun. And they're like, "Why were you up there?" And he's like, the city hates the I'm gonna call it the nunnery because I forget what they actually call it, but nunnery just sounds so much better. The town hates the nunnery, but we have a long-standing deal with them to deliver them supplies quarterly, and I was in charge, and it was my turn. And when I got there, I discovered the body. Do you know what this dude's name is? This Romanian dude? Frenchie. Yes, this guy that's deeply representative of Romanian culture shares the same name as a character from Greece. So, go Grease lightning, you're burning up the quarter mile. So Academy Award nominee Demian Bashir, Thaisa Farmiga, who is playing I guess she's Romanian. The Vatican 23 didn't meet her, so she's Romanian. And a Romanian dude named Frenchie. So Grease lightning, it takes the two up to the nunnery, and shit goes awry because there's a creepy demon force there. And if you saw The Conjuring 2, you know what it is. And this is the whole movie sort of about it. Not really. Just sort of also haunting them. It kind of cursory mentions her origin story and like how she came to be, like almost like they read a book or a Wikipedia page about it. For some reason, they didn't think that would be a more interesting movie than what they actually made. So, even though kind of it would make more sense because it would be an actual origin story instead of just this, which is a story in the history of time of the nun. So, anyway, yeah, the movie goes on with some interesting sequences, some oddly predictable scares, some, I don't know, some cool ideas in some places, some not. You know, I don't know. It was alright. I didn't actually hate it. I was like, I look at the structure of the film and I gotta go, this was the best thing you could come up with for the spinoff of this franchise. This is how you started the Nun franchise. you even had to write an origin story so that you could tell it in the movie. And while writing the screenplay, it didn't hit you that perhaps that story sounded way more interesting than the one you were writing. Or were you waiting to do like a Nun prequel so we can actually see that? So is that the intention? Are we gonna get a Nun 3 that's not actually like a Nun 3, but it's actually like a prequel to the Nun? So we'll be like, oh, hey, remember that story we told you in the first film? We finally decided to make that into a movie. Here you go. Yeah, so it's full of jump scares. Not. I'm not going to say that these are like these are going to be ones that you're going to see coming from like a mile away. There's one where, I'll just go ahead and spoil some of them. Just like one. I'm going to spoil one just so that you know. Right? Okay, so Demian Bashir like wanders into a part of the Nunnery. And he's speaking with the Mother Abbess or whatever, who is down below and is sitting up on some sort of like dais throne thing, and she's talking to him, but obviously her voice is kind of creepy. It's not like full on creepy. It's not like, what are you doing here? But it's unnerving. And he's talking to her, and she's shrouded, and he walks up to her very slowly, and the music just drops out, and he walks very slowly, and he reaches his hand out very slowly to pull her mask off. And of course, like, instead of like a normal fucking human being would, like if I was sitting there and somebody reached to try to pull my mask off, where I'd be like, what the hell are you doing? Like, get your hand away from my face. No reaction. So we all know it's a jump scare coming. Like, there's no, imagine if you were Mother Abbess and this priest is like walking at you and he's about to pull whatever shit off your face, and you're a nun and you're in a nunnery and you're really doing like your nunnery stuff. You would be like, sir, please step back. The fuck you doing? Get your hand out of my face. I did not ask you to approach. None of that conversation happened. So of course he pulls the thing off and it's a jump scare. So, surprise. This film is so well directed. I do also love the audio description, because it's this old British guy that I've heard 1,000 times, and he definitely jumps in, and he's very calm for most of the movie. It's not William Michael Redmond, where I feel like the intensity of the movie is like coursing through my veins, but this guy does know how to be like, like that, like, oh shit, look out, like, oh my god. So it's so nice to hear somebody who sounds like he's an older gent, an older British folk man, who is narrating, and like he narrates one sequence where a character's looking into a mirror, and he's like, so-and-so's looking into a mirror, and behind her, the hands of the nun come out, and oh my goodness. And he just like builds to the moment, and then right, like, as he's building is like, as then the jump scare happens. So yeah, I'm very much on board for this guy's narration. It's very, very good for what it is, because he seems like he can't possibly be moved, Even some of the jump scares, he doesn't get that intent, but then sometimes he gets like really into it. So I love that he feels like he's watching the movie for the very first time, and he's trying to narrate the film, but then he looks up and he's like, oh my god. Get out of there! Run! Not up the stairs! You know, we have those conversations with characters in horror movies. What are you doing? I want him to do that. Feels like he'd be really good at that. I don't really want him to do that, because then I'd be like, what is he talking about? I need audio descriptions, sir, not commentary. But no, the commentary comes in the form of the voice. So he brought the intensity, and I appreciate it. And the film is it's what it is, you know. I will say, very smart decision to cast Demian Bichir, because Demian Bichir is amazing, and we don't say that enough. We just kind of put him in things, and we just kind of like walk away. I think we all forgot we gave him an Oscar nomination a while ago, because we definitely don't challenge him the way we need to. As an actor, this man should be like constantly, you know, on the cusp of a second nomination. Instead, he's like generally like floating through TV series, supporting roles in shitty films like this. So, you know, just kind of like, what are we doing? And Thaisa Farmiga, yes, it is so cool that she's in the same franchise as her sister. I see what you did there. Very good casting choice. Thank you for that. It's so smart. It's like they were like, well, we've got Vera Farmiga. Did you know she has a sister? We should put her in The Nun. Okay. And, yeah, so she's a good actress, too. And maybe one day she'll end up getting an Oscar nomination if she can stop doing films like this. So I did like her in the first season of American Horror Story. I thought she did a really good job. So I'm down for it. And the acting here is good because they pick good actors. It's really that simple. Find good actors, give them a decent script, which this is. It's decent. It's not amazing. My mind was not blown. I didn't feel like we rewrote the things. I still think the first Conjuring film is legitimately a well-written and well-directed film. I think everything else after that has been sort of a mixture. This, for me, is a little bit below that of The Conjuring 2, which was a little bit below The Conjuring 1. So, there are some interesting set pieces here, especially one involving a graveyard, and some, I don't know if they're really effective. There are some jump scares. Not every jump scare is going to work on everybody, but maybe they'll get you. The film has different levels of intensity and violence and stuff in it, so it doesn't have that many characters really in the film, so to speak, but it does sort of explore the lore a little bit more, and I would say I'm at least moderately interested in a concept of a sequel, especially considering the way the film ends. So that's it. That's The Nun. I'm gonna give The Nun a B-. I think it's generally effective as a horror film, as a scary film, and I don't usually think about films outside of the genre when I'm trying to review films within the genre. Otherwise, horror films would have a really hard time getting good grades up against if I was constantly thinking about, like, well, but how does this compare to the works of Godard and you know, I don't know. It doesn't. No, not really. It's two totally wildly different things with two wildly different intentions for two very different sets of audiences. So why would I do that? But thinking about similar films and thinking about where this takes place in the Conjuring universe, I would say I enjoyed it more than the third Conjuring film. So there you go. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I will be reviewing the sequel shortly when it drops on Max, supposedly this month. So it should be soon. Anyway, Until then, you can check out my website, macmoovieguy.com. You can subscribe to me because I'm trying to break 200 this year. I am 18 away from 200. 18 people. I am a legal person. I'm of voting age away from 200. You can also look for me on Instagram, X, and Threads at Mac the Movie Guy. You can look for me. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what has audio description, where you can watch it. And you can go to the adna.org. That's the adna.org. It'll let you know who's narrating your favorite films and television series. That's it for me today. I will review something else and see you guys on the other side of spooky season.